guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. I'm back here at Walker Ford, sunny Clearwater, Florida, and we're here to do a little comparison that so many of you have been talking about, commenting here on Raiti's Rides, and also all over the World Wide Web, the interweb. We're looking at the new kid on the block, the 2019 Ford Ranger, this one in an XLT trim compared to the stablemate, it's been around forever, the Ford F-150 XLT trim. So if you remember, when they brought out the Ford Ranger back this year, brand new, January, they're just hitting the showroom floors now, there's been a lot of discussion about pricing and a lot of people saying, well, why would I go the Ranger route when I could just go get an F-150? Even though they're totally obviously different trucks, there are some similarities, but I think that at the end of the day, you'll see that their differences, they're there for a reason. Just right off the bat, looking at these two trucks in that beautiful shadow black, you could see that the Ranger has a much smaller size. That's gonna be an advantage to a lot of people because many people that go the mid-size truck market segment, which remembers that new booming segment with Toyota Tacoma, the Colorado, the Nissan Frontier. These things you could park in your garage, have another vehicle easily in there if you have a two-car garage, whereas with the F-150, it's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge depending on your garage situation. Another thing is, there's a lot of people who want that truck feel, who want to sit a little bit higher, but they don't need the whole full-size shabam. They want something a little bit more that maybe, hey, they're into kayaking or they're into mountain biking, and this is more of an adventure setup for them to get to those activities where, yes, you could do that with the F-150, but the F-150 is just a little bit more when it comes to size and whatnot. But let's go ahead, new kid on the block. This is where we're gonna start with the front end of the business. Ford Ranger, remember they stopped making these 2011. I like what Ford did with the styling. I like the headlight housings. I really think one of my favorite parts of the front is the grille. I like the way that they went with different materials, different designs in the center compared to both sides of the grille. Everything is functional. That's another great thing that I love about the Ranger. I like the embossed Ranger logo, and sneaking behind that grille, I don't know if Tom could show you, there's that intercooler, because remember, underneath the hood of this XLT, or any Ranger for that matter, is that inline 4 EcoBoost engine, turbocharged, intercooled. You're looking at 270 horsepower. Wonderful the way they have it displayed. Here's another thing. Knock, knock, who's there? That's chrome, that's metal. So only truck in its segment to have both front and rear metal bumpers. I like what they did with the XLT with a little bit of silver down here. You got your tow hooks, but a very nice open front. Now, some people would say, how come the Ranger's nose slopes down? If you look at Rangers from past generations, they did the same thing. So Ford wanted to keep that connection to the older generation Rangers. I do like the hood. I like the way they went with this double bulge. It gives it a little bit of an aggressive look and really makes it stand out from the crowd in this segment because there's a lot of contenders and the Ranger is here to play. Let's go over to the F-150. There's that traditional design. It's been around for a few years now. I really dig the C-shaped light housings. I think Ford really nailed it right on the head with the grille area. I love the way it integrates right into that C. It's almost like a locking form to it. On this one being a sport, it's an XLT with the sport trim. I like the charcoal gray grille. Everything flowing, you can see, I don't know if Tom could show you, what's great about these F-150s, there's active shutters. So right now those shutters are wide open. Those shutters can open and close to help you get better fuel economy. Speaking of fuel economy, underneath the hood of this one is that EcoBoost V6. That is a 2.7 liter twin turbocharged V6. We're gonna take a look at both of the engines in a few moments, but you can see, I like the way they went with the fog lamps, finished in that same shadow black, and then up on the hood, very similar to the Ranger to keep that family connection with the double bulge hood. Very, very popular, the F-150. Let's go ahead and now compare the sides of these two trucks. Let's start with the Ranger. All right, guys, time to check out the side of the 2019 Ranger, all new. I really love how they wrap it around. I think one of the smartest things Ford did with the design is you can see this separation here from the actual fender and it almost looks like a little mini fender flare. I like that distinctive line, and with the way that the truck sits, the XLT sits, plenty of room there, and it just gives it a nice stance to it while it's sitting here in the parking lot. I'm gonna have Tom zoom in and show you the upper and lower control arms, and if you look closely, you can see peeking behind that inner fender wall, that's gonna be that 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine. Like I said, putting out 270 horsepower. If you're wondering how much does this truck weigh, it weighs around 4,100 pounds. On this particular one, it has these beautiful chrome finish 18-inch wheel. I love the design of it, and it really pops with the shadow black. Very nicely done. If I was gonna zonk the wheel tire combo, I would like to see some white leather tires on it. I think that would really just make it pop even more and just add to the funness of the Ranger. As we go around the fender, I think it's very wise how Ford's doing their badging on the side. Not only is this a functional vent, because remember, air's coming in from the front and it's gonna flow out the sides. Functional vent, it has the Ranger badge, and it tells you what trim level it is. Remember, XL, XLT, or Lariat. We're XLT. Let's continue down the side. Now, if I'm gonna start to throw some zonks at the side, it's gonna be this mirror. I would think at an XLT trim, I would like that shadow black. It's so beautiful. Take the shadow black, spill it all over this mirror. I think that would help just with the overall cohesiveness of the look of the truck, especially, like I said, XLT. I could expect that on the XL since that's the entry into the Ranger. As we go down the side, you can see that Super Crew cab. I love the size of the doors. You'll see when we go inside, even though this is a mid-sized truck, lots of room in there, which is nice, especially up front. Let's continue working our way back. I think it was smart to go with the chrome finish on the door handles. Just pops well with the black and the wheels. It has a nice connection to it. And then as we work our way back to the end, final touch, a little bit of a chrome treatment on the exhaust pipe. Like I said, I just think it makes it look like a finished package rather than just having the bare exhaust pipe. But there's the side of the Ranger. Let's go check out its big brother, the F-150. All right, guys, time to check out the big brother, the Ford F-150. Really that namesake in the full-size truck segment. Same story. I like what they did with the fender flare treatment here. Just a little bit, just to give a little bit of extra personality to it. With this one being the XLT with the sport package, these are the wheels that you get. I actually think it works very well with the truck. And what's interesting is when we looked at the Ranger looks a little bit more off-roadish compared to this. This is more of, I would like to say, like a street setup, but I do like the design of the wheel. I like the color, and I think it works perfect with the shadow black. I'll have Tom go ahead and zoom on in and show you that upper and lower control arms. And then, like I said, behind that plastic inner liner, that is that 2.7 liter EcoBoost V6. That's a twin turbo V6, 325 horsepower. So 270, 325. Let's continue down the side. Now, with this being an XLT, with the Ford trucks, with the F-150, XLT is where you start. Then it's a Lariat. Then you continue your way all the way to Limited. I would like to see it painted on the side, but I understand with this being an XLT on the F-150, why it's not. But really, would it be that addition of a cost to Ford to spill some of that shadow black on the mirrors? The turn signals are integrated, so that's a nice thing. As we continue down the side, you can see that this is the Super Crew, nice full size. You got your standard running boards down here, also finished in a dark color to make them blend in. And then as we continue our way back, I like the addition of the body lines that they put into the bed of the truck here. There's our sport badge, and you can see how they were able to really make a nice design with the tail light, almost like with the headlights interlocking with the grille. It's like the tail light interlocking with the back of the bed. Speaking of beds, time to compare the two. Let's start with the Ranger. All right, guys, time to get in the back of the 2019 Ranger. Before we do that, I do like the back tailgate area. I like the way that they embossed Ranger across the back instead of just throwing on another emblem. And like I pointed out at the start of the video, metal bumpers, both front and rear. That is the only truck in the midsize segment that have front and rear metal bumpers. I like the chrome treatment to the handle here, and with the badge, we're gonna lower it. I wish that they would add that softer dampening to lower the tailgate. And as you can see, there's no addition of a step, but I'm gonna go ahead and swing on in. Great size for a mid-sized truck of this particular grade. You have some metal tie-down hooks, which is really wonderful. That's going to help you strap down things that are in the back of the truck. This is a manual sliding window. Does have the rear window defroster with a manual sliding window. And of course, you can get this option with a bed liner, which this one does not have. Still a good amount of space. Does not have the tow package, which that would definitely be something if I was getting a truck, add that tow package to the truck. But you know, there's no interior lighting in the back of the bed, but good size, and really is just going to fit well, I think, with the type of lifestyle that somebody who wants a Ranger, that would fit right in perfectly. Let's go ahead and check out the back of the F-150. All right, guys, tail end of the F-150, that XLT. Just like the Ranger, it has Ford F-150 embossed across the back. I like that, less badging that's going to get knocked off or banged off. Another thing I just want to point out as well is that you have the finished chrome tip. I like that connection. It looks like a finished product. It looks like somebody didn't forget what they were doing. When you drop the back, still at this level trim, there's not that nice soft dampening tailgate release. This one you kind of have to let down. Also does not have the optional steps. So to get into the back of the F-150, you're gonna have to swing it on up, but you can see, great size. This is why the Ford F-150 is a leader in this segment of trucks. You're gonna have interior lighting. This one does have the truck package. You have interior lighting, which is really nice, that you operate using this button over here. You have some tie-down hooks. My only complaint is I wish that it had more of these hooks. There's only 2 at the front and 2 at the rear, and then these that you see are plastic. So I'm not so sure if I'm gonna take a come-along strap and really tighten that down, just at the risk of breaking those. But I do like the way that there's 2 at the front and 2 at the rear. I just wish there was a little bit more, because if you look at some of the competitors, like the Silverado, you're gonna see a lot more to that. But let's go ahead. You've seen the inside of the beds. Let's go check out underneath the hoods of these 2 Ford trucks. All right, guys, we got the hoods popped on these Ford trucks. Let's start with the new kid on the block, the Ranger. Underneath the hood, first of all, I just want to point out, both of these hoods have hood struts, so that definitely thumbs up from Raiti's Rides to Ford. But there is that 2.3 liter inline 4 turbocharged engine. That's that EcoBoost motor. Now, I know a lot of you have heard about that engine in the Ford Focus RS, in the Mustang. Even though it's the same displacement, a lot of changes. A different turbo, different intercooler, and a tune that is perfect for truck driving. So, like I said, 270 horsepower, 310 foot-pounds of torque, and it's made it to that really slick shifting 10-speed automatic transmission. Let's go ahead and check out the bigger brother. Before we do though, you're looking at 23 miles per gallon in the city. So that's really good for a mid-sized truck. When we go over to the full size, there's that 2.7 liter V6. That's also an EcoBoost. You have twin turbochargers. You're putting out 325 horsepower. It's made it to the 10-speed, and power's going to the rear wheels through 355 gears. What's wonderful about this truck is, remember, you're going to get pretty decent fuel economy, even though it's a full size, 19 in the city, 24 on the highway. The curb weight of this truck is 4,343 pounds. That compared to the Ranger, remember with the Ranger, it was right around 4,100 pounds. But you can see, I like the way the engine sits very low in the chassis to help with handling and stability. Let's go ahead and fire both of these Fords up. Alright guys, we're inside the 2019 Ford Ranger XLT. Come on in, let's check out the door panel. So I'm gonna zonk the door panel because there's a little bit too much black going on. There is a softer leatherette type material on the armrest, is nice, but then they use a cloth on the back portion of the door, which it's not a cohesive look to it. So I would like to see the same material on the back portion as well that's on the armrest. But I do like the use of the silver and the silver door handle there. That's the only way that they're breaking up the sea of black plastic. When you transition in, it gets much better. I like the material that they used here, this lighter gray color. It's got the name Ranger embossed in it. The dash is a harder material, just like on the top of the door. Usually it would get a little softer here. It does not on the XLT trim. I do like the addition of the silver around the air vents. And then there's that sync system, which I've used this a lot in all my reviews here at Walker Ford. So easy to go through. You got dual climate control, very easy to navigate through the screen, very quick acting, works really well. As we transition, this is where Ford loses me a little bit. It's a little bit too much dark black plastic here. I wish they would have took some of the trim around the vents for the AC and at least framed this whole system. But you have your AC controls and you have your radio controls all in one section. It's a little crowded, but once you get used to driving this, I think it'll be a piece of cake. Plus you could do all your AC controls right here on the infotainment screen. What I do like is I like this little dip down where you could put your phone. You have two USB jacks down here, which is a wonderful thing to see. And then you also have two 12 volts, which is also nice. This area is another area where you get more of that hard black plastic, little bit of trim from the AC vents around the shifter. This is what's going to control that 10-speed automatic transmission, two simple cup holders, and then a very nicely padded armrest that actually has a lot of room in there. So very, very deep, even though this is a smaller truck. And then the good old-fashioned regular e-brake, which is nice. The seats are comfortable. They are cloth. This is the XLT trim. If you want leather, you got to go the Lariat route. But I like the material, I like the contrast stitching, and I like the design. It's actually for a cloth seat. When you first open up the door, it looks like it's leather, but it's very, very comfortable. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of headroom in here. I like the way it's lighter on the headliner. That really breaks up the sea of darkness in here. Why don't you come on over to the driver's side and I'll show you the business end behind the wheel. Come on, check it out. All right, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2019 Ranger. You can see that at this trim level, you do get some electrical assistance when wanting to contour the seat to your body. Seating position's great. I like the steering wheel. The steering wheel has a nice padding to it, which really makes it nice to hold on to, especially for those longer drives. When you look at the gauge instrumentation layout, easy to read tach, easy to read speedometer. In the center, you have a digital display, which you could go through different modes of your fuel range, your speedometer there, trip timer, all that kind of good stuff, the information that you want. Very simple, very easy to read. Overall, I like the seating position in the Ranger, and I'm telling you, once we take it for a spin, you'll see that this thing's got some get up and go. Let's go ahead and check out the F-150. All right, here we are, guys, inside the 2019 Ford F-150 XLT. Lots of room in here. Let's start with the door panels. You can see at this trim level with the Sport, with the XLT, you have some nice leatherette type material on the armrest, and they give you, it almost looks like a faux carbon fiber look on the door panel. I'm gonna zonk it because it really looks out of place on this truck, and I wish some manufacturers would come up with some new materials, but it is a little darker on the door, just like on the Ranger, but as you go up different trim levels, that changes. As you transition on the dash, still harder plastic, but a little bit of a different design where it's almost like the passenger and the driver are separated from the dash. Very, very nice connectivity with the navigation. Remember, that XLT did not have any navigation. It had the sync system, but no navigation. If you're wondering MSRP, the way this sits, $47,000. MSRP on the Ranger XLT is $35,000. So you can see the difference and what you're getting. With this trim package, you do get the faux carbon fiber on this nicely sliding door. And inside there is a wonderful space for your phone. 2 USB jacks. I like on the F-150s how they're a little bit more distinctive with their line separating the AC controls from the radio controls. But remember, the Ranger's a smaller truck, so you would expect that to be a little bit tighter. This one has the column shift That's gonna be working that 10-speed automatic transmission. Great place for drinks and another electronic device or your wallet. And then you have this massive, I mean, it's almost like the Ranger could fit inside here, this massive center console storage area and armrest, nicely padded with the contrast stitching. And then the seats. I'm gonna zonk the seats because I don't like the way they look. They do fit you well and they are comfortable, but I don't like this, like, it's almost like a tire tread pattern that they got going on. I wish they would have done what they did with the Ranger, and they are power assisted, which is nice to see in this. But with the Ford F-150, you know, here's your power outlets. Remember, up front, you don't have a household outlet like you do here. You have the 12 volt as well, that you didn't get that in the Ranger. The Ranger had the two 12 volts, but love the overall fit and feel in here. Why don't you come on over and I'll show you the business end behind the wheel of the F-150. All right, guys, business end behind the wheel of the F-150. I love being behind the wheel of an F-150, I'll be honest with you. I had a rental truck for a little while, and it was an F-150, and it was a great experience. Lots of headroom. I mean, that's a no-brainer in a full-size truck like this one. Love the seating position. Remember, you have those power seats, just like in the Ranger, which is really nice. The steering wheel, tilting, telescoping. What I love about the gauge layout is I love the way they have those auxiliary gauges across the top. Everything's analog, and then in the center you have that nice information that you could toggle through with tire pressure. You know, you could go into your different display settings, all that kind of stuff, which is really nice on this truck. If I'm gonna zonk it, it's a little too much black going on here. Black headliner, black armrest, black seats. So I would like to lighten it up a little bit, but when it comes to just the overall space, there is plenty of space in the Ranger, but this one definitely takes the cake. Let's check out where your passengers are going to be sitting in both of these trucks. All right, guys, backseat time in the Ranger. Remember, I'm 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. This being a mid-sized truck, it's a no-brainer. Even though this is Super Crew, it is a little cramped back here. I do think it's smart the way that they put some cutouts in the backs of the seats, because what I did was I left the seat, the driver's seat, exactly where I would put it if I was driving. So I have it further back, obviously, for my longer legs. And to be honest with you, I still got some, you know, room that I'll be comfortable, plenty of headroom, and that's a big plus. Here's another big plus. Back here, you got your 110 volt power outlet, plus 2 USBs and a nice little shelf. That's perfect if you're hauling around your kids or people that have their devices. You don't want that stuff to go dead, because then they're just gonna annoy the heck out of you. You have a very comfortable armrest here, that same cloth material, and I like the way they brought the design of the front seats into the back seats. 2 cup holders, very easy to use. And then another nice feature, especially for somebody back here, is you have the sliding rear window. That's a nice touch. You'll see that there's some differences back here compared to the F-150. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, guys, here we are. This is my apartment. No, just kidding. This is the back seat of the F-150, but I'm telling you right now, there's more space back here than in my on-campus apartment when I was in college. Lots of room. I mean, the seat, I didn't move it forward whatsoever. You can see how much room you're gonna get, but remember, this comes at a cost. Where are you gonna park the truck? If you want in your garage, you better have a barn, because that's the only place you're gonna be able to fit this thing. But I do like how they have nice pockets on the backs of the seats. That's great for your kids to put their iPads, their computers, their laptops, whatever they got. Great center here. 2 cup holders. You got your super big gulp and your super Slurpee. You got a 12 volt. You got the 110, and you got 2 USBs. Ford knew what the heck they were doing back here, and double AC vents, and plenty of leg room to just stretch back. You don't have to worry about anybody trying to open up the rear window, because guess what? It's powered. You can open up the rear window from the driver's seat. Only thing I'm gonna zonk, because I don't want to be too generous, right? We can't do that. It's just dark. It's just a lot of black in here, sea of darkness. I'm swimming through it. But you know what? There's a light at the end of the tunnel, because we're taking these for a spin. Let's go get in them. All right, guys, we're leaving Walker Ford. We're gonna start off with the new kid in the block, the 2019 Ford Ranger. Remember, this one is XLT trim. Right away, I just love how easy it is to navigate this truck through the roads. Very easy, and I know with some people, I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again, it almost feels like a mini sport utility vehicle. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, I'm actually saying that in a good way, because I think for some people, especially going into this Ranger,
is going to be where they don't want that cumbersome larger truck. And that is the benefit of this. And what's wonderful about the Ranger being a mid-sized truck is that even though it's smaller on the outside compared to the F-150, on the interior, lots of room in here. I mean, I got Tom in here, we got people in the back, everybody is sitting so comfortably, and the visibility is excellent. Even with two people in the back, I'm able to look out the window and see very well. Controls everything within reach. I love the sync system in the Fords. Such a snap to navigate through those. The layout is great. I just wish where the radio controls were, I wish there was a little trim to break up the sea of dark black plastic. That's my only gripe, because even when you go the Lariat trim, that sea of dark plastic is there. But the 2.3 liter, that EcoBoost motor, such a nice setup. And as you can see, you get on the loud pedal, drops down, 10-speed does its work, smooth as can be. Very, very nice, the whole setup, how they have that package. And like I said, it's not like they just stripped it out of the Mustang EcoBoost and threw it in the Ranger. Everything has been tuned for the Ranger. So it's got a different turbo, different intercooler, and different mapping, which is nice because how you want the truck to drive is going to be different than how you want your EcoBoost Mustang or a Ford Focus RS to operate. But just the cabin is very quiet, very spacious, even on the back seat. When I was sitting back there, there was still some room to be comfortable. Would I want to stay there for a whole day? No, but you know what? They did a good job with the seat position and everything else. And I think the biggest thing that I love is how you have that connectivity back there. You have the USB ports and everything else to make sure that your passengers are taken care of when it comes to their electronic devices, especially if your passengers are kids. That's where you don't want those electronic devices to die on you. But just navigating through this frontage road here, piece of cake. Love the mirrors. Remember, what's cool about the Ranger is that you push this button right here and the mirrors will fold. Right, guys, rolling in the Ranger. I'm gonna go ahead and merge over here. The 10-speed, very slick shifting, and it just works perfectly with that 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine. Remember, 270 horsepower. If you're really gonna go and drag race your Ranger, you're basically looking around 0 to 60 in around 6.5 seconds. So it's actually quite peppy for the truck that weighs around 4,100 pounds. Let me go ahead and get on the loud pedal as I change lanes here. Very easy to do in the Ranger. Visibility is great. I love the size of the side mirrors. Makes it a pleasure to see who's next to you so that you can make the right move at exactly the right time. Seats are comfy. Like I pointed out earlier, I love the pattern on the seat, even though they're cloth. Very comfortable seat, very good looking seat. Over the expansion joints, you don't feel a thing. It's like sitting on a cloud, but you don't feel floaty, which is nice. And I think that's what a lot of people that are going to get into the Ranger are going to really enjoy with this truck, is just the overall ride quality, because it doesn't really ride like a truck, which is, I think, going to be beneficial for a lot of people in that mid-sized truck segment. And then at the end of the day, parking this thing is a breeze. And you'll see when we get in the F-150 just the amount of size that it has. You got to be really on your game when you're parking that if you've never parked a large truck before. All right, guys, let me go ahead and show you once again. Get on the gas, drops down, pulls right to red line, which is really nice, smooth, and it just gets up and goes. And I really like that. It's a no-nonsense transmission, and I'm just so glad that Ford has decided to put it in the Ranger along with the F-150, and it just really works well. Also, if you haven't been in a new Mustang, I know I've done some reviews already. If you haven't checked those out, check them out. But even in the Mustang, 10-speed makes that car rocket fast. Really enjoyable. I think one of my favorite parts about the Ranger when it comes to the engine and transmission setup is that that's it. That's the one choice. And I think it really is so versatile and flexible that no matter what you're doing with this Ranger, it's going to work perfectly for you. Some of the other brands, we won't mention too much about them, but they do give you choices. But I really think the reason why they give you choices is because they didn't get it right with just one engine. And I think that's really where Ford has a little sweet spot with the EcoBoost. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna pitch it into this left-hand bend here just to see what it feels like in a turn. Very nice, very controllable, very stable. As we roll through here, I'm gonna roll on the throttle. Transmission knows I wanna go, and that's what we're doing. I like the way that, like we showed you earlier, in the center of the tachometer and the speedometer, you have that nice digital display. Right now I have it showing the speed that we're doing. Easy to read, gauges are great. Seating position, you could get this thing to fit your body perfectly, just like a glove. And I really think that driving around, I'll be honest, people are looking. I think the shadow black with the wheels that this one has, those 18-inch wheels, really pops, and it's really just a good looking truck. Once again, let's go ahead, and brakes are nice. I'm telling you, this truck doesn't drive like a truck, and I mean that in the best way possible. Need to get on the highway and go, just press down on the gas pedal. It's great. Wonderful experience driving this Ranger. I'm very excited to go back to back, because remember, this is that first back-to-back comparison between the Ranger and the F-150. So we're going to go ahead and make our way back to Walker Ford, and we're going to do a little swap, maybe drop some people off, maybe pick some people up, and we'll be right back. We've switched. We're in the F-150 XLT, just like the Ranger. Immediately, you know, you just feel like you're sitting on your lazy boy at home. It's very comfortable, lots of room, and just very, very smooth. Just like the Ranger, that's what I like, is that with the Ford trucks, they're very smooth. The cabin is airtight. I feel like we could actually go underwater like a submarine and be just fine that no water's coming in, because that's how airtight this thing is. But I like the display of all the instrumentation, like I pointed out earlier. The one thing that's just holding me back a little bit is just a lot of dark. There's a lot of darkness in here. I need a flashlight, because a lot of the materials just, it's either black or it's a darker gray, and I just wish they would have just went a little bit lighter with some of the touches just to brighten it up. Especially on the instrumentation. Would have been nice to have some lighter silver in there just to break it up. But for overall comfort, I mean, there's nothing like an F-150. We could, you know, fool ourselves saying, hey, in the Ranger you have just as much room, but that's not the case. But remember, the space inside comes at a price outside. So when you're driving this vehicle, you got to be a little bit more mindful, because there is a little bit more heft, there is a little bit more size, width, height, length, the whole shebang. So that's something just to be aware of, especially when you're parking it. And I know if you take the F-150 and say you got to go to an airport, and you're going for a trip and you need to leave the truck there, some parking garages, those spots are tough with the F-150, whereas with the Ranger, it's going to be a piece of cake. That 2.7 liter EcoBoost engine, remember, twin turbocharged, pumping out 325 horsepower, wonderful setup, nice and smooth. That's the great thing that I love about not only the engine, but the 10-speed automatic transmission. It's just crazy how it's the same gearbox. They changed the bell housing and all that good stuff, but still that same setup. Visibility. In an F-150, you are sitting on top of a tower. I mean, there's great visibility, forward, backward, side to side. Love the overall feel inside the F-150. And it has, you know, the air is blowing nice. Now, I would like to see, obviously, cooled seats. You have the heated seats, but remember, we're at XLT trim with that sport package. You can take this We've done the video to prove it. Take it all the way to limited. Remember, for 2019, the limited comes with the Raptor engine. And what I mean by that is you're getting all 450 horsepower out of the 3.5. This one is smaller, 2.7, but with the tow package and whatnot, it'll still get the job done, give you some good fuel economy. You're looking around in the city about 19 miles a gallon in the city. So yes, you still have the option of the 5-liter, the 302, but you know, this could be something that if you've not been in an EcoBoost powered F-150 yet, definitely get down to Walker Ford. I think it's going to surprise you. I know it surprised me.
All right, guys, been a wonderful day here at Walker Ford. Definitely got to give a huge thank you to Frank Walker, Weston Walker, Tracy, Benji, Mark, Austin, Jason, Denise, Greg. Everybody here is such a Raiti's Rides fan, and I'm so grateful for their support. Hopefully this shed a little bit more light, even though both of these are black, shadow black, hopefully this shed a little bit more light on the Ranger F-150 comparison. If these are the types of things you like to see on Raiti's Rides, leave a comment in that comment section. If you're just swinging by and you're on your way out that door, hit that subscribe button. I promise you'll want to come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. It's so great to be on this journey together. Check out all my different forms of social media. You know exactly what they're called. All Raiti's Rides original content. If you want some merch, there's a link right in the bottom of this video in the description. Takes you right to Spreadshirt. And then we can't forget, he won an award at Daytona. I think he's going to win another award coming up at his next powerlifting competition. Big Guns McGee, Tom Moschner, working the camera. Not only one truck, 2 trucks. Next time we're going for 3, Tom. So get ready for that. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.